You're listening to Morning Money here on Share Radio, and later today, the Growing Business Awards will be taking place. With us on the line is Hunter Ruthven, editor of Real Business. Good morning, Hunter.
Good morning.
Now, firstly, what sort of categories of awards are there?
Well, with the Growing Business Awards, we're kind of recognizing businesses from across the growth company landscape. So we kind of start with small business turning over less than 25 million, and we go right past those posting revenues in excess of 15 million. So it's a really great range. And kind of in response to some of the biggest trends in the market today, we've kind of created awards for those leading in kind of their fields in exporting as well as retail, digital, those kind of spaces. But some of my favorites are kind of the individual accolades where we get some really incredible insight into business leaders that this country has right now.
And what areas of business is Britain doing particularly well in at the moment?
Well, it's hard to get away from what UK is doing in terms of technology, where we are really leading the field in a lot of spaces. But I think it's important to not forget those in areas like manufacturing, energy, consumer products, business services, those kind of things. So in terms of the awards, an interesting batch of companies which probably don't get enough of the limelight are those leveraging the Made in Britain tag as a bit of a USP. Kind of from our perspective, Britain has kind of had a long and great tradition of high quality products. So our Made in Britain award category features the likes of Sussex brand Heck, we got office furniture brand Orange Box, medical equipment maker Citadel, and from our perspective, all of those are great businesses showing that manufacturing in the UK is far from dead.
But why is it so important to show appreciation for these businesses?
Well, for these businesses, a lot of them kind of operate kind of away from the glare of whether it's London or those that are kind of posting billion-pound revenues. So it provides a great opportunity to get some exposure to the kind of businesses that are operating in the UK, and for the leaders of these businesses, it's a chance to show their team that it is being recognised on both kind of a customer acquisition front, but also on a recognition award basis. So I think it works really well for that.
But what part of UK business are we not doing so well in?
I think the space we really need to work on is when it comes to scaling up businesses. As a nation, I think we're really great at getting entrepreneurial ideas going and building them up to a respectable size. But what we're perhaps not doing as well as other international counterparts is taking those and making them into big billion-pound enterprises. So to do this, I think we need to kind of improve on things like European trade red tape, the ability to access public sector contracts, and then we kind of always come back to that all-important access to finance issue. But we definitely have the entrepreneurial talent in this company, so it's just about giving them a right set of tools, really, to make massive companies with.
So in your opinion, what are the big success stories?
Well, there have been some really great success stories over the past year. Without revealing who's picked up awards this year, but make sure you check Real Business tomorrow morning to find out who does. I think if you look back at last year, some of the cases, some of the shortlisted companies are some great examples. So two companies shortlisted last year have gone on to join the London Stock Exchange after some very impressive IPOs. 2013 Large Company of the Year, Zoopla, joined in June, kind of to much fanfare. While Just Eat floated in March, giving it a very impressive valuation of over £1 billion. So both of these companies have been very disruptive in their sectors and really do demonstrate just how quickly businesses can scale up in the UK if they really do get the right support. Most of that support has come in the form of growth capital, but there are some very bright minds of those companies, in my opinion, who have not only built great teams, but marketed smartly and acquired other businesses where it's necessary.
But in that respect, I mean, obviously not all UK businesses are doing as well. We know that the economic recovery is still very much underway. So what can be done to help British businesses in the current economic climate?
Well, for me, whenever I'm asked this question, it always has to start with funding, because access to finance after the financial crisis and bank pullback has been a struggle for businesses from very early stage startup right the way through to mid-sized growth. But there are kind of a number of reasons that I think we can be hopeful. If you look at alternative funding, whether it's peer-to-peer lending or equity crowdfunding, it's a newly emerged source of capital which just wasn't available a decade ago. Um, you've also got Vince Cable's British Business Bank, which is starting to get money out the door, arming different lenders with important levels of capital. Away from that, and from our perspective, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of the autumn statement. But it'd be great to see further extensions to business rate relief, bolstered kind of R&D tax credits. There's always a need to get rid of unnecessary or time-consuming red tape. So I think all of those will add up to give businesses the right framework to build from.
And finally, I mean, just to touch on one more thing today, we know that according to the CBI, business sentiment here in the UK has fallen quite drastically in recent months. What is, in your opinion, the background for this? Why don't we have, at least from a business perspective, more faith?
More what, sorry?
So why do we, from a business perspective, not have more faith in business sentiment at the moment?
I think a lot of the business sentiment kind of stems from the confidence of the sector as a whole. I think entrepreneurs take a lot from what's going on above them. I think it comes down to giving them the right tools to do things like exporting, to take that next step, to be a bit adventurous. And when we can kind of become a bit more adventurous, that will kind of give us a bit more faith when it comes to building business up to that next scale. But again, it comes back to that giving us the right set of tools to give things like UK export finance, UKTI assistance. People want to have faith. They just want to kind of mitigate against the risks. So it's about building that framework at a government, local, national level, which allows people to reduce that risk and kind of have faith in what they do believe in is obviously a great idea for their business, and allow it to go to the next level.
Thank you so much for that insight into the business climate at the moment. That was Hunter Ruthven, editor of Real Business, ahead of the Growing Business Awards later this evening.
Morning Money on Share Radio.